They say on that day even the wind forgot to blow. Birds paused mid-flight. Drummers struck their talking drums once and never struck again. Old women at the well dropped their gourds. Men stared like spirits had walked among them. What had silenced the village of Kibaya? It was Nala. She stepped out from her home with a sway in her hips and a glow on her skin that looked as though the sun had kissed her personally. Her body curved like a calabash carved by a skilled hand. Her beauty did not walk, it announced itself. A boy selling roasted yams stopped shouting. A man balancing a bowl of spicy stew forgot his grip. The bowl slipped, splattering hot broth down his chest. Another villager, stunned, walked headfirst into a thick iroko tree and bounced back, clutching his skull. Nala didn't laugh. She didn't flinch. She knew what she had become. She walked with pride, soaking in every stare like morning soil drinks up rain. Her eyes said, "Yes, look, you've never seen this before." But my children, this beauty was not born in the womb. It came from a wish, and wishes, they always come with a price. In the heart of the sun-drenched hills of Kibaya, where the earth cracked under dry skies and the wind whispered of drought, lived a man named Bako. His back was bent from years of work. His feet knew the soil like a mother knows her child. Bako was a farmer, but not a lucky one. His fields were thirsty, his seeds lazy. Year after year he poured sweat into the land, but the harvest laughed at him. He had one joy, his family, but even that joy had become sour. His wife, Nala, once soft-spoken and warm, now watched him return from the fields with eyes full of contempt. She'd stand at the doorway of their mud-walled hut, arms crossed like a gatekeeper, eyes sharp like a needle. "Look at you, Bako," she would say. "Dusty and sweaty. What do we even have? No fresh fish, no new clothes. I should have married a chief, not a man who can't even feed his family." Her words, sharper than a spear, pierced deeper than any thorn. And their twin, sons Tanu and Jabo, had started to echo her tone. They were clever boys, always quick with a joke and quicker with mischief. But instead of helping their father or learning the value of work, they laughed behind his back. "Look, Jabo," Tanu would say, "maybe Baba will plant gold today, and harvest diamonds tomorrow." Their chuckles stung worse than hunger. Bako never raised his voice. He only sighed, lowered his head, and returned to the field. The sun burned his back. The soil refused to answer. But still he tried. He tried because he loved them. But love alone does not fill stomachs. And in Nala's heart, love was no longer enough. She dreamed of silk wraps, shiny necklaces, golden bracelets like the wives of traders who passed through Kibaya. She watched them with envy and whispered to herself, "Why not me? Why should I scrape cassava while others sip palm wine in comfort?" Tanu and Jabo heard her murmurs. They believed her words. They stopped respecting their father and started blaming him. One evening, as the sky bled red and the cicadas began their shrill song, Bako walked home, dragging his hoe behind him. His hands were blistered, his throat dry, his heart heavier than ever. On the edge of the baobab grove, he saw something odd. A figure sitting alone beneath the ancient tree, cloaked in rags, face folded with wrinkles, but eyes glowing like moonlight in a cave. "Good evening, Bako," the old man said, his voice strange like thunder wrapped in silk. Bako froze. "How do you know my name?" "I know many names and many sorrows." The old man stood slowly. "I have watched you, farmer. You give your sweat to the soil, you take nothing in return. Your family mocks you, but your heart remains gentle." Bako said nothing. His mouth was dry. "I have something for you." "A gift. No, an opportunity." He raised a hand. 7 wishes. You may ask for 7 things, anything at all. But be warned, wishes are tricky. They can bring joy, hide or ruin. Use them with care." Bako blinked. 7 wishes. It sounded like madness, like a fable from a grandmother's mouth. But something in the old man's voice felt real. Something inside Bako wanted to believe. He dropped to his knees. "I accept." The old man smiled, nodded and vanished, not into the trees, into thin air. Only the wind remained, whispering through the baobab leaves. Bako ran home, stumbling with excitement. He burst into the hut, panting, "Nala, you won't believe." "What happened?" She raised her eyebrow. "Did you finally find gold in that cursed soil?" He ignored the jab. "I met a spirit, an old man. He gave me 7 wishes. 7, Nala." Her eyes widened. "Anything we want?" she asked, suddenly alert. "Anything," he said. "I want to see if it's real," Nala said suddenly, her eyes wide and wild. "Bako, make my belly grow. I want to laugh at something silly. Just once." Bako stopped mid-step, sweat still clinging to his face from the fields. He looked at her, startled. "Nala, we need to think before using these wishes. They're powerful." Her tone sharpened. "Don't start with your thinking again, Bako, just do it. Let me feel joy for a minute, even if it's foolish." The air in the hut grew heavy. Outside, a lizard darted across the floor. The flames in the fire pit crackled softly, as if listening. Reluctantly, Bako raised his hand. His voice was quiet, like a man hoping not to wake a sleeping storm. "I wish for Nala's belly to grow big." In an instant, magic moved. Nala's stomach swelled like a drum in the festival square, round, full, comically huge. It pushed out against her wrapper. She burst into laughter, spinning in circles, holding her sides. "Look at me," she shouted between giggles. "I look like I ate a whole market." Even Bako smiled faintly, but the laughter didn't last. Soon, her steps slowed. Her back ached, her face twisted. "It's too much," she groaned, sitting down heavily. "I can't move. Bako, I don't want it anymore. It's too heavy." Bako's smile faded. He closed his eyes. "I wish for Nala's belly to return to normal." With a sharp breath of wind, the magic obeyed. Her belly shrank back to what it was. The hut fell quiet again. 2 wishes, gone, and nothing had changed. The next morning came with the scent of wood smoke and damp soil. Birds chirped from the thatched roofs. Life went on. Nala swept the front yard, her mood sour again. The boys, Tanu and Jabo, were already outside, tumbling through the dust like restless puppies. They chased each other between banana trees, climbed low branches, and tossed stones into a cooking pot they'd turned into a game. But high above, Jabo had dared himself further. He had climbed the tallest kola tree in the yard. His laughter echoed from the branches. "Look at me, Tanu. I'm flying." But then, crack. A branch snapped. A scream. And then a thud that silenced everything. "Jabo!" Tanu shouted, running to his twin. Inside the hut, Bako heard it. His feet moved before thought. He burst outside and saw his son lying twisted beneath the tree, eyes closed, blood trickling from his forehead. He dropped to his knees, hands shaking. "Jabo! Jabo, speak to me!" Nala came running. Her legs almost gave way when she saw her son's limp body. "No, no, no," she whispered, her voice cracking. "We have no money. For a healer, Bako, what will we do?" Tears streamed down her cheeks. Bako held Jabo's face in his hands. His son was breathing, but barely. He did not hesitate. "I wish and for Jabo to be healed." A pulse of wind rushed through the yard. The leaves of the kola tree rustled as though a spirit had passed. Jabo's fingers twitched. Then his eyes fluttered open. "Baba," he whispered. Nala gasped and scooped him into her arms, sobbing into his hair. But her joy didn't last long. "You've wasted another wish," she cried suddenly, eyes blazing now. 3 gone. For what? A joke belly and a fall from a tree." Bako looked at her, his arms still around Jabo. "Would you rather he stayed hurt?" She turned away. That evening, silence sat between them like an unwelcome guest. The fire popped and hissed, but no one spoke. The twins were quiet, sitting on their mat, chewing roasted cassava slowly, sensing the tension. Nala paced, her fingers clenched and unclenched. "We're wasting this gift," she said sharply, breaking the quiet. "You're not using it right. If you won't, then I will." She stood before Bako, her face set. "I want to be beautiful. I want to be the most stunning woman in the entire village. Let every man turn when I walk. Let the women envy me. I'm tired of feeling like nothing." Bako's eyes were tired. "Nala, beauty will not grow crops. Beauty won't make our sons good men. You're chasing shadows." But she was done listening. I gave you years of loyalty, while you gave me nothing but hunger. I want this, Bako. I need it. He looked at her and saw how far away she already was. His heart broke. I wish for Nala to become the most beautiful and curvaceous woman in the village. It was like the air itself paused. Then, whoosh! A golden shimmer passed over Nala. Her skin glowed like morning light on honey. Her waist narrowed, her hips curved like carved ivory, her face reshaped into perfect symmetry. Her eyes gleamed like polished amber. Even the twins stared, mouths open. Nala smiled, and it was not the smile of the woman Bako once knew. The next day, the village of Kibaya changed. Nala stepped outside in her finest wrapper. It hugged her, body like it had been waiting for this day. Her feet were bare, but her stride had the command of a queen. Heads turned instantly. A man balancing a tray of cooked tilapia stumbled and dropped everything. A boy carrying a bowl of porridge missed, his mouth completely. One young man, staring too hard, walked straight into the base of a tree and fell on his back, dazed. The market women paused mid-haggle. Some whispered behind their palms, others scowled with envy. "Is that Nala?" someone murmured. "What happened to her?" "She looks like a goddess," another said, eyes narrowed. "And Nala?" She smiled, at every stare. She swayed her hips with pride. Her voice rang sweeter than before. She giggled softly when men stuttered and fumbled around her. She was no longer just a woman. She had become a spectacle. Everywhere she went, people watched. Men with wide eyes, women with whispers, children pointing and giggling. But instead of peace or joy, Nala's new beauty only added fire to her pride. Where once she had complained in whispers, now she strutted like a peacock, soaking up the stares that followed her every step. Her hips swayed like a drumbeat. Her skin shone like ripe mango. But her heart had become hollow, full only of admiration and echoes. The women of Kibaya village whispered behind her back. Some with envy, others with discomfort. "Something about her doesn't feel real," one old woman muttered at the well. "It's like her face wears a mask." "She used to be quiet," another said. "Now look at her, walking like the chief's fourth wife." Men, on the other hand, stared openly, eyes wide and mouths careless. Their words were softer when she passed, their feet slower, and Nala loved it. Every glance was a gift, every whispered compliment a treasure. She no longer fetched water. She no longer helped with the evening meals. She spent hours in front of the bronze basin, adjusting her headscarf, smoothing her wrapper, admiring her reflection in every shiny surface. Her husband, Bako, watched quietly. The woman he had married, the woman who once danced with bare feet under the rain, was gone. And the twins, Tanu and Jabo? They had grown wild with their mother's new glory. They boasted to every child in the village. "Our father has magic," Tanu declared proudly. "He gave our mama beauty with just a word." "He can wish for anything," Jabo bragged. "We could have gold if we wanted." Other children began following them, hoping for scraps of that magic. The twins pushed boundaries, stole roasted corn, taunted chickens, disrespected elders, and laughed when warned. The once playful boys had become little kings, loud, rude, and untouchable. Bako's heart broke a little more each day. Days turned into weeks. The sun beat down as always, and Bako still rose with the rooster to till the soil. The land was still dry. The crops still failed. But his home had changed more than the fields ever had. Each evening when he returned from work, Nala was painting her lips with the dye from crushed berries. She barely looked at him. The boys ran wild around, the compound ignoring his voice completely. One night the pot of yam was burned. The water had not been boiled. The compound was messy, and Nala was sitting under the mango tree oiling her arms. Something inside Bako snapped. They sat down for dinner, or tried to. The twins were arguing over who got more food. Nala was busy adjusting her scarf. Bako stared at the sad bowl of porridge in front of him. "This is not the life I wanted," Bako said suddenly, slamming his spoon on the table. Everyone froze. "We had 7 wishes," he shouted. 7! And we wasted them on belly tricks." "Beauty and noise," Nala scoffed. "You call my beauty a waste?" "Yes, Bako roared, rising to his feet. "What has it brought us, Nala? The farm is still dry, our children are out of control, our home is a mess." "You don't understand," Nala snapped back. "You've never been admired. You don't know what it feels like to be seen. I gave this family everything." "No," Bako cut her off. "You gave yourself everything. You left us behind." The room boiled with tension. The twins were frozen, wide-eyed, and in the heat of that boiling silence, Bako shouted without thinking, "I wish for silence in this house." It was like thunder struck the hut. Suddenly, Nala's voice vanished mid-sentence. Jabo opened his mouth to protest, but no sound came out. Tanu gasped. Nothing. The air grew thick, unnatural. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Only Bako remained with his voice. He stood frozen, his chest heaving, sweat rolling down his back. His wife sat across from him, her mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping on land, but not a single word passed her lips. The twins looked at him with fear and confusion. At first there was peace, no yelling, no mocking, no sound at all. Just quiet. But peace quickly turned into guilt. That night Bako sat by the fire alone. The crackling flames offered no warmth. He glanced at his wife, who had retreated to the mat, her back turned to him. Her shoulders trembled. She was crying, but even her sobs were silent. The boy sat in a corner, huddled, eyes red. Bako's chest ached. He thought of the old man under the baobab, his words echoing. "Wishes are dangerous. They can bring joy or ruin." He had wanted silence, and now the house felt like a grave. Morning came, pale and still. The chickens clucked. The sun rose lazily, but the house remained quiet. Bako looked at them, his family, his mistakes. Despite Nala's vanity, despite the twins' mischief, they were his, and he loved them. He stood slowly, his knees heavy, and whispered, "I wish for Nala and the boys to speak again." The breeze returned, soft but strong. A whisper passed through the hut like the sigh of forgiveness. Nala gasped and touched her throat. I can talk," Jabo shouted. "It's back." Tanu hugged his mother tightly. "Baba fixed it." Nala stood, her mouth opened as if ready to scold, but then her eyes met Bako's, and in that moment she saw everything. His sorrow, his fatigue, his broken heart. She didn't yell. She sat down quietly beside him. Later that day, Nala walked through the village. She noticed something strange. Where once people paused to admire her, now they looked away. Some whispered. Some chuckled, and some simply ignored her. She thought little of it, until she leaned over the riverbank to rinse her wrapper and caught sight of her reflection in the water. Her heart stopped. The magic was gone. Her skin no longer glowed. Her waist had softened. Her curves had faded. Her face was her own again. The beauty had vanished. Nala stared for a long time. Tears filled her eyes. She rushed home, holding her wrapper tightly, trying to cover what she had once proudly displayed. She sat by the fire, her face buried in her palms. "What have I done?" she whispered, her voice shaky. "I was so foolish, Bako. I thought beauty would give me worth. But all it gave me was pride and an emptiness." Bako sat beside her. His hands were rough, but his touch was gentle. "We both made mistakes," he said softly. "But we're still here. We may not have any wishes left, but we have each other." She looked at him then. Really looked. Not as the dusty farmer. Not as the man who couldn't bring riches, but as the man who loved her through it all. She nodded slowly. The silence that followed wasn't from magic. It was from understanding. That evening, as Bako and Nala sat quietly by the fire, a sudden wind swept through the compound, cool but heavy with meaning. The flames flickered, and then he appeared. The same old man, the spirit who had once stood under the baobab tree, now stood silently in their doorway. His robe fluttered like mist in the wind. His face was calm, but his eyes held sorrow. "You have squandered the blessings I gave you," the old man said, his voice soft, like night rain on a thatched roof. Bako lowered his head. "Yes, Elder," he said with regret. "I let my heart lead my hands. I thought wishes would bring us peace, but they only opened the door to more trouble." Nala bowed her head too, unable to meet the spirit's gaze. "It was me," she whispered. "I pushed him. I wanted to be admired. I thought beauty would fix my life." The spirit stepped into the light, his feet silent on the ground. "Wishes are not shortcuts," he said. "They are power. And power without wisdom is like a blade in a child's hands. You forgot patience. You forgot love." He looked at Bako. "You still have your hands, you still have your land, and most importantly, you still have your family." He looked at Nala, whose eyes were now brimming with tears. "You must now use what is real, not what is easy. True magic," he said, placing a wrinkled hand over his heart, "lives here." With those words, the old man faded into the night, like smoke into stars. Bako and Nala sat in silence, not from magic, but from thought. Before the sun rose the next morning, Bako was already awake. The birds had not yet started to sing. The sky was still deep blue. But something had changed inside him. There was no magic left, but there was strength in his bones, calluses in his hands, and a family that could still be mended. He stepped out into the field, hoe in hand, and moments later, Nala joined him. She said nothing, just walked beside him with a water jug. For the first time in many moons, there was no bitterness between them. Later that day, Tanu and Jabo approached shyly. Their shoulders were hunched, their eyes low. "Baba," Tanu mumbled, "we want to help now." Bako turned. His face softened. "There is always work," he said, handing them small tools. So they worked. Nala swept the yard and helped dig ridges. The twins cleared weeds, fetched water, and watched their father closely. Days passed, then weeks. The crops began to rise, slowly, but surely. The soil no longer seemed dead. The plants stood taller. Even the chickens clucked louder. Something was growing, and it wasn't just food. It was respect. Tanu and Jabo no longer boasted. They listened, they helped. They laughed again, but this time with kindness. And Nala? She no longer stared into mirrors. She found joy in simpler things, stirring a pot of soup, watching her sons haul cassava, feeling her husband's hand brush hers as they planted side by side. Bako was no longer just the poor farmer. People now nodded to him with respect. One evening, as they watched the twins play by the granary, Nala turned to her husband with a soft smile. "I don't need wishes anymore, Bako," she said. "I have everything I truly needed right here." Bako took her hand, his heart full. There had been no shortcuts, but in the end, they had found something stronger than magic. They had found home. They had found each other. And they had found peace. True happiness doesn't come from magic or beauty. It comes from love, patience, and hard work. When we chase quick fixes, we often lose sight of what really matters. But when we stand together as a family, even dry soil can bloom. What would you wish for if you were given 7 wishes? Tell us in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this tale from Kibaya, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more magical African folktales that warm the heart and stir the soul. Until next time, keep the fire burning.